Hi everyone, my name is Isabel, and today I'm going to be talking about what cognitive processes accompany mental health issues, focusing mainly on depression, loneliness, and anxiety. So first, depression. People who are depressed tend to think in very negative ways and view life through kind of a dark lens. This often comes with low self-esteem. There's also something called depressive realism, which is actually kind of interesting. It means that mildly depressed people sometimes make more realistic or accurate judgments instead of overly positive ones. So they're not always wrong, they're just less biased toward optimism. One important idea is that our mood affects how we think. So when we feel happy, we tend to think more positively, but when we feel depressed, our thoughts become more negative. Depression also affects behavior. People might become more withdrawn or complain more. And interestingly, that kind of behavior can even affect the people around them and bring down others' moods too. But it also works the other way around. Negative thinking can actually cause depression. For example, when people experience stress, it's normal to feel down. But if they constantly overthink it or ruminate and interpret things in a negative way, it can lead to depression. Psychologist Martin Seligman also argued that people who focus too much on themselves and blame themselves are more likely to become depressed. This slide shows the vicious cycle of depression. If you look at the diagram, it's basically showing how everything feeds into each other. Negative thoughts lead to depressed moods, and those depressed moods lead to behaviors like withdrawing or isolating yourself. Then those behaviors actually create more negative experiences, which brings you back to even more negative thinking. So it's not just one thing causing depression, it's the continuous loop that reinforces itself, which is why it can be really hard to break out of. Next is loneliness. Loneliness is when we recognize that we don't have as many meaningful relationships as we want. Lonely people tend to think in similar ways to depressed people. They often blame themselves, feel like they don't make good impressions, and believe things are out of their control. They also tend to view others more negatively. You can also connect this to the diagram from the book that shows how shyness, loneliness, and depression are all linked. Being shy can make it harder to talk to people, which can lead to loneliness. Feeling lonely can increase depression, and depression can make someone withdraw even more, which makes the loneliness worse. So again, it's another cycle where all of these factors feed into each other. The diagram uses solid arrows to show strong cause and effect relationships, and dotted arrows to show additional or indirect effects. Now, anxiety and shyness. Shyness is basically a form of social anxiety, where people are very self-conscious and worried about how others see them. According to self-presentation theory, we all want to make a good impression, but anxiety happens when we want to impress people, but doubt our ability to do it. Shy or anxious people also tend to over-personalize situations, meaning they take things more personally than they should. Depression doesn't just affect mental health, it also impacts physical health. For example, depressed individuals are more likely to develop heart disease, even when you account for things like smoking. And after a heart attack, people who are depressed actually have about double the risk of having more heart problems compared to those who aren't depressed. To wrap everything up, depression is often part of a vicious cycle when negative thoughts and moods reinforce each other. Loneliness involves feeling isolated and is very common, especially in more individualistic societies. Anxiety is something everyone experiences, but shy individuals feel it more intensely, even in everyday situations. And overall, health psychology shows us that mental and physical health are closely connected. Thank you for listening.